This is a Scan2X tech session. How to set up OMR, optical mark recognition, for exam autograding. So let's set up OMR autograding on Scan2X. Before we do this, we need to understand the document that we're going to be using to set up the job with. This is the document in front of us now, and we are looking at 4 questions, each question of which has 4 potential answers indicated by little red bubbles. So I'll minimize that and we can go ahead and start. Now my Scan2X terminal is logged in. I'm logged in as an administrator, which means that I have my Add New Job button on the home page, which I can go ahead and press. And when I do that, the system will open up a new job template for me and I can start to create my job. I will set it as active. I will name the job, for example, OMR demo job, and I will set my sorting to 0 so that the button appears in first place on the home page once I've saved. In scan settings, I'd like to leave this as black and white and utilize the red color dropout function in the scanner printer driver so that we can eliminate those red bubbles when we're looking for student marks. I'm also going to disable my OCR saved document function here, and this will save time when processing the document later on. Under document template, I'm going to add the document that we'll be working on, and so I'll set up my document template like this. So I've just imported it from a PDF. If I didn't have a ready-made PDF, I can, from here, scan the document off paper directly into my template. I had a PDF, so I just loaded it from there. Once I've done this, the system now knows exactly what the document looks like, and so I can go ahead and begin setting up the optical mark recognition, or OMR. So I click on my OMR template tab on the left and manage OMR settings up at the top. And this gives me a list of questions, currently empty, and my first view of the template within the OMR Capture Manager. Now, at top left, you can see that I've got my options shape set as circles, which mimics what I have on the document. I could set that as rectangles if I want to. Currently, I've got circles, so I'm going to leave it like that. The options color dropper here is used to enable the Capture Manager configuration identify the bubbles for each question. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to teach the system what color the bubbles look like. And by dragging that tool, by holding down my left mouse button and putting the crosshairs over the color of the bubble, I can then teach the system what color the bubbles are. Once I've done that, I can start by setting up my first question. So I hit my Add Question button, and my template now changes to enable me to configure this question. I'm going to set my question name to Q1. The question type is multiple choice, because that's what it is. And I'm going to enable scoring. Enable scoring allows Scan2X to allocate a mark to the student for the correct answer to the question and leave a mark or maybe even deduct marks for an incorrect answer to a question. So I've enabled scoring, and I can now indicate to the system where the buttons are for question 1 so that it can detect them itself. And I'm going to do that by using my drag tool called Select. My cursor has changed to a crosshair, and using my mouse I'm going to drag a box around the options I have. And then I'm going to hit Auto Detect. Once I've done that, the system has said, okay, I've found 4 options, and the system actually tells me where they are. So it's found my 4 options, and it's telling me that it's going to start naming the options from A. So when it creates them, this will be A, this will be B, C, and D, and so on if I had more. So it's going to create my 4 options for me when I press the Create Options button. in fact, there they are, that's appeared now on the left-hand side in the grid, named A, B, C, and D. And these are represented and highlighted on the document, as we're seeing, as confirmation of what the system has found. The system is also asking me which of these is the correct answer and which planet is closer to the Sun. So that's Mercury, that is number 3, so option C in my list. If I click that, I can then allocate a mark. I'm going to say the student will get 25 marks for a correct answer to this question. And then I can move on to the next one. So it really was that simple. Back to document setup, add another question, call it Q2 this time. I'm going to enable scoring on this. I'm going to use my pre-selected tool now. It's pre-selected, so I'll just come here and mark option 2. Confirm, there they are. Create options, mark the correct one. So I'm guessing that's 2 in this case, and 25, and go on to number 3. So as you can see, I can simply then add question, Q3, enable scoring, mark where Q3's answers are. They're somewhere in that box. It's found 3 options and the system has missed this one. So, how do we handle a situation like this where the system has missed a particular one? Well, I'm going to allow the system to create the 3 options, and it's created option C here, which is actually highlighted to me as option D. So I'm going to change that to option D. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another option, another potential answer manually. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to name it as C, because that's what it is, A, B, C. And then I'm going to use my click option here to click in the box. And in doing so, I've now told the system you will look in that box. And it's marked it here. So in doing this, as you can see, I have automatically detected 3 options and manually added another one. Now, the reason I've shown you this on this demo is because although you wouldn't normally need it on a very simple document like this, on a much more complex document with multiple different types of questions, you will sometimes have a situation where you need to manually create the positions of the questions. So once I've done that, again, we're ready. I just have to select which is the correct answer to this particular question. And once I've done that, I can move on to create the last one. So in doing that, I'll scroll down here like this, and I will hit add question, call this one question 4, enable scoring on this question, use my select tool to select where the answers are, and auto-detect. The system has detected all 4, as we can see, and all I need to do is now mark the correct one. In short, that's it. I've set up all 4 questions. The system knows exactly what to do now, and if we're ready, we can save the job and continue. But of course, we're not ready, are we? Why not? Because we need to capture who the student is answering this particular question. So to do that, I'm going to add a metadata field here called student, and I'm going to tell the system to look for a QR code, in this case, in this area of the document. The system has immediately come up with the value of that QR code, and I can go ahead and apply. Notice that although we created 4 questions in the OMR template, question 1, 2, 3, and 4, they're not yet in metadata. And the reason is that we need to add them. So I'm going to insert all OMR fields by pressing the Insert All OMR Fields button at top right. These are now added to the system, and I can add more if I want to. I don't know, let's say grade, for example, and let's say assessor. Okay? Assessor. There you go. And we can populate these using OCR. So my grade, I've decided I want to come from this box here, and I'm going to anchor the position of this box to the word grade, so that if the page moves up and down in the scanner, the system will still look within that box. And so I'm going to say anchor this zone to the word grade that you will find in the top right-hand corner of the page. Update the anchor, and the system has now highlighted it in blue, showing that it has found the anchor. Similarly, I can do the same with assessor. So under general, I can mark the space that I want for the assessor. Remember, Stephanie's name is as long as this, but other people's names might be longer. So leave yourself a little bit of space. We will use the same anchoring technique, but now we will look for the word teacher. We are still going to be searching in the top right corner of the page. Update anchor, it's now found the word teacher, and we're good to go. So, if we scan one page of the document, one page document, it should actually work. But what happens if we put in more than one sheet? Because, for example, your answer sheet spans more than one page, so you've given each student 2 pages of answer sheets to answer, or because you've loaded the scanner with more than one student's exam sheet. Well, in that case, what we need to do is think about splitting. Now, in this simple example, the document is 1 page long. So if we have a look at it again in PDF Viewer, you will see the document is just 1 page. And so it's very easy for us to set up a document splitting rule by hitting Add New in the Document Splittings tab, and simply say, please split every 1 page. Once we've done that, we can save our scanning rule and save our job, because everything has now been done. We're happy that the system is going to scan to our default path as set up in the admin settings. If not, we could set up a proper path here. So C scans OMR, for example, apply changes, and close the jobs manager. And we're good to go. So now I'm going to try and scan some pages that I set up earlier. They're inserted into my scanner. So if I press the job which we've newly created and set the scanner going, you'll hear it running any second now. So my scanner has now run. The system has picked up 3 pages and is beginning to score them. So our first student has got 100%, our second student has got 50%, and our third student also has almost 50%. But look at this. In this case, we have one question that hasn't quite read properly. So let's go to it, and we'll see that here we have no score at all. The reason we have no score at all is because the system has detected that the student has actually marked 2 answers on a question that requires only 1. At this point in time, we can set this metadata field to mandatory, and if we do, it'll light up in red, and it will demand that somebody accesses this document manually and takes a decision as to exactly what it is that we are going to do for this particular question. But everything else has been processed correctly, and all we need to do is save all documents. We could, of course, see a full metadata list, and over here we have our documents, who the assessor was and what the grade was, our student, and the marks that have been assigned for each question. If we save documents, those documents will all go into the queue, which are down here at the bottom. If I press on that, you'll see, in fact, they've all gone, processed extremely quickly, and we can log out. So setting up OMR is a very, very simple task in Scan2X. Of course, it can get a little bit more complicated if you have much more complicated pages, but it's just more of what you've seen. So very, very simple to do. Don't hesitate to get in touch with us on support@avantexsoftware.com if you need any help. with setting up something particular. Thank you very much.